Hello, fishing fans. Kyle Mullins, KPM Fishing here again. Episode 2 of the KPM Outdoors podcast. As you can see today, I am joined with a special guest, Mr. Zach Vankeulen, also known as ZVK Fishing in all the social media channels. Um, he's here today. We're going to discuss a couple things. He also qualified for the Bass Team Championship last year, um, like I did, as I mentioned in the last podcast. And he fishes not only the trail I fish, so we fish against each other in that, but he also fishes one of the other fairly competitive or most competitive team trails in the state of Oklahoma, um, called Angler Nation. He had a really close race in his as well, and only finished. What'd you win by 1 point? Was it?
One or two, yeah. I don't even what the final one was. It came down to like 1 or 2 points. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
it
it
was
was
close.
close to where me and my partner had a really good year and we kind of blew it away. I think we ended up winning by like 40 points or something like that. But
Yeah, y'all's wasn't dramatic at all from the word go this year. So
yeah, me and Jimmy only finished. I don't. We finished 14th was our worst finish. We had 2 14ths and everything else was seventh or better. So, but
mm,
so first
yeah,
topic.
y'all's year was one to rival.
It was pretty good. So, um, first things first, guys. This podcast today is actually going to be brought to you by Jenko Fishing. I'm really close with the Jenko Fishing guys, and they were supportive enough and have been kind enough to send a couple crankbaits. This is the Jenko CD7, and I mean, realistically, all you guys that like to throw the DT6, right here, it is very comparable to the DT6. They sent me both a rattling and a silent. Um, so we're going to give these away, and before we're done, I will list what the criteria is to win these. But we'll just a little precursor to the end. So, um, second thing I wanted to talk about is this week is actually Chili Bowl week here in Tulsa. So, any of you that don't know what the Chili Bowl is, the Chili Bowl is probably one of the biggest like dirt track races in the world. And it's here in Tulsa every year, the first or second week of January. I think this year they said on the news that there was like 396 drivers. It's a week long. They race every night, and there's about 30,000 people or 40,000 people there a day for the Chili Bowl. So it's a huge event. But the biggest thing that I wanted to mention about the Chili Bowl is there is a foundation there called the Donny Crawford Foundation. They're a local tournament or a local foundation here in Tulsa. They raise money for to give scholarships to kids going to college. They also give money to like injured race car drivers that need help financially to help cover medical expenses from an injury or things like that. So they give back to the community in multiple different ways. But one of the things that they do every year is they always have raffle items. And this week at the Chili Bowl, they actually have a mini dirt bike, like a kid's dirt bike, that they are raffling away. So um, if you don't go to the Chili Bowl or can't get to the Chili Bowl to go by their booth and buy some raffle tickets, look up the Donny Ray Crawford Foundation. If you just Google it, it will pull up. It'll be one of the first ones you find. And there should be some guidance from what I've understood. There's guidance on their website on how to buy raffle tickets for that little dirt bike. And you do not have to be present at the Chili Bowl to win it. So anybody can win it. So go check out the Donny Ray Crawford Foundation and buy you some raffle tickets for that dirt bike. And stay tuned. I've got some things possibly in the works with them if we can come to some agreements, possibly for 2023. So keep an eye out for that as well. So uh, let's just jump into the next topic. That's the only two things I really had to mention. So let's start asking Vankeulen some questions here. I'm going to put him on the spot. So
That's what I'm here for.
we've already mentioned that you won Angler Nation Team Trail Championship last year. You and Brendan McDonald, you won by 1 or 2 points ahead of Brandon Philippe and his partner. So both of you guys, or the four of you guys got to go fish the team championship, which was, I believe, the week of December 8th this year.
Yeah,
This
it was the
past year.
first week of December. Yep.
Right. And it was on Eufaula, Alabama, um,
Yep.
which, from what I heard, the fishing was extremely tough.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah, it was. It was an experience for sure, as far as fishing goes. I mean, it's hard to put into words because the fishery was so fun. I mean, it laid out so cool. Unlike any other lakes I've been to. If I had to compare it to anything, I'd probably compare it to like a smaller Toledo Bend.
Okay.
Honestly, because it was long and narrow. It had tons of offshore stuff. It had docks. It had grass. It had wood. I mean, pretty much anything you wanted to fish, you could fish. But we just hit it in a funk. I think it was the transition period.
Yeah.
The lake had just kind of turned over and fish were everywhere. There was no real rhyme or reason to where they were at. Some guys found some fish grouped up shallow, in a couple of those creeks, and they were able to catch a couple of limits out of them. But um, as far as like down lake, I mean, we could never get on anything. We'd catch one on a dock, we'd catch one on a channel swing, we'd catch one out deep. You'd try to run whatever you catch them on, and you wouldn't get another bite. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a learning experience for Brendan and myself. It was a really really cool experience. I mean, as far as a big time tournament goes, I mean there was 185 boats, I think is what they said we finished with or fished against, and some of the best anglers from across the country. A bunch of Alabama hammers that were down
Oh
there. I
yeah.
saw names that I would follow on Facebook all the time, and some guys I fished against in college from down there. I mean,
Right.
it was cool. It was definitely a next level event as far as competition goes,
Cool.
and it was a good stretch as far as my abilities, I think, and even Brendan's but what the best part about it was getting to go down there with these other Oklahoma guys, from up down here or from here that I didn't really know all that well, and get to spend a week with them, just hanging
Mhm.
out and getting to know them better, have drinks, compare fishing stories, kind of try to help each other out as best we could. And but the problem is none of us were on anything, so it hurt all of us. But
Right.
um, it's definitely an event that is pretty cool, to strive for. We fish a whole season, and it's cool to have something like that to get to at the end.
Right. Well, and I was pretty bummed not getting to go. Mainly because, I mean, as you know, because you've qualified 2 years in a row now, through Angler
Hmm.
Nation, and as you know, the two team trails that we have in Oklahoma to qualify through are two of the toughest team trails there is. Like, I would venture to say
Yeah,
they're probably two of the toughest team trails in the country, not just Oklahoma. Um,
yeah,
so like actually qualifying is a huge accomplishment in itself.
yeah.
So
100%. 100%.
me qualifying and not getting to go due to me and my wife's impeccable timing. Um, but it was very frustrating for me, because I wanted to go so bad, and my wife wanted me to go because she knows how much time and effort I've put into going, but and she still tried to get me to go. My son was due the very next week. I just couldn't make it work. So,
Oh yeah, you
um,
can't take that risk. Yeah,
no, because 12 hours away, she could have the kid before I get home. So it just didn't work out. So, my
yeah,
partner still had the ability to go, but he chose, since I couldn't go, he chose to just pass and defer our qualification to the next team in line for points, because he felt like, we qualified together, we'll go together. So he went ahead and deferred it to Keith Allen and David Warrior, which are pretty good buddies of both of ours, and just
Yep.
absolute hammers. So I mean, nobody better to represent the state of Oklahoma than those two. So,
Yeah.
but
And Keith had a good year in both trails. I mean,
he did. He
that
did. I
speaks to
think
how good he is.
he finished third or fourth in Angler Nation, I think. He
Yeah.
was just
Yep.
out of qualifying in both trails, just barely.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yep.
he is an absolute hammer. So, but I'm gonna back up a little bit. You were talking about how bad the fishing was down there, and you were talking about how the fish were in a funk, and it's funny that you say that because I feel like that time of year for down there, or a little bit earlier than that for here in Oklahoma. So that October, November time frame here in Oklahoma, that's a really tough time to catch fish. Like
It
it's
is.
it's normally not hard to catch fish. It's hard to find the right ones that time of year. It's those right
Yeah. It's hard to
bites.
pattern the big ones.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're just like you said, the lake's turning over. There's fish everywhere. So you may catch one under a dock in a foot of water, and you may turn around and go catch one on a main lake point or a main lake hump in 30 foot of water. They're so
Right.
random. So that time of year is always so hard to stay consistent over multiple days, which leads me into the next topic is for the guys that don't know really about the Bass Team Championship, break down the Bass Team Championship format for these guys, like kind of how it works. Obviously, I'll preface it with you have to have a local team trail that you fish,
Mm-hmm.
and given that team trail will have criteria with they will get to send one team for every so many teams that are signed up. And those
Right.
teams qualify are based off of the angler of the year standings for that trail. So Southside and
Correct.
Angler Nation both had about 50 to 60 boats sign up for the team championship. Therefore, it's one for every 25. So both trails got to send two teams. So
Correct.
that prefaces it to now we've qualified. What is the format like once you get there for the guys that don't know?
So once you qualify, Bass sends out, all the welcome packets or the congratulations packets, and um, you you still have to pay an entry fee for the tournament for the week. And thankfully this year, I believe both trails actually covered that for the teams, which was really nice as part of
Southside did for sure.
winning winning packages, and Angler Nation did as well. And um, how that works is part of the memberships that we pay for the club. Um, the fees for that are set aside and go to those teams at the end of the year. So however many teams show up or sign up, that dictates how much money is allocated towards the Bass Team Championship and those teams that qualify. But anyway, so you pay the entry fee, you get it, you're in, and then they have 3 days or I guess 2.5 days of practice. We showed up on Saturday. We got in Saturday night, and our first official practice day was Sunday.
Okay.
So we get all day Sunday, you get all day Monday, and you have to be off the water Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So pretty much 3 full days of practice. There's a registration normally and a meeting where they go over the rules and
Right.
all that on Tuesday night, and then the first day of the tournament is Wednesday. Everybody fishes Wednesday and Thursday, so you get 2 full days. And then they break it down. The top, I believe it was 3 teams. The top 3 teams, they take Thursday and Friday and break you up, and you fish separately against everybody. Like so, it's they call it match play or whatever, but you're fishing against somebody on Thursday, and they whittle you down till Friday. The top 2 guys or 3 guys or however many guys are left at the last day is top 3. The top 3 they fish, and then the final guy gets to go to the guy that wins at the end of Friday goes to the Bassmasters Classic. So it's pretty cool. I lost your audio there, Kyle. Are you muted?
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Okay.
Yep,
Perfect.
I got you.
Yeah, I think it's the top 3 teams after the first 2 days. Because the first 2 days you
So
fish as a
6
team.
guys.
Yep. So they
Right.
take those 3 teams and split them into 6 guys. And those 6 guys fish 2 days, and the winner goes to the Classic. Correct?
So there's no elimination on Thursday. I thought there was an elimination on Thursday, but maybe
I don't
not.
think
I don't
so.
know.
I think all
I
6
haven't
of
been
them
lucky
fish
enough
2
to make
days.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
all 6 of them fish
probably
2.
is.
Either way, ultimately
Yeah.
at the end of it, the winner, once they break the 3 teams out, the winner from those 3 teams goes to the Classic.
Yep. And this year it was Mr. Shane Powell. He's a local Eufaula hammer. He's a guy that I got to fish against kind of back in the old college days, and was teammates with Jordan and Matt, and fished down there at Auburn. And
Right.
he's a local stick. I think he's going to do pretty good at Hartwell. But
That's awesome.
We'll see.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, that's I don't know. I look at it from the standpoint of all of us pretty much, at least us local guys that fish local stuff still, almost all of us fish a team trail of some sort. Why not fish one that gives you a shot to go to the Classic? I mean,
100%.
There's 2 other team trails here in Oklahoma that draw a ton of boats and are very, very competitive. Nichols and the Skeeters. Both of them are very, very competitive. Both of them draw a ton of boats. Like Nichols is normally 300-ish boats. Skeeter's usually around 200. My thought process on it though is Angler Nation and Southside. Yeah, they don't draw quite as many boats, but you have that chance to go to the Classic if you pay for that piece. And let's break it down. Like, even paying for the piece to be able to go to the team championship in either one of those trails, you're still spending less money than you are fishing the Skeeters or the Nichols.
Yeah, or the Opens or the Bass Nations, any of the other avenues to get to the Classic. For me, it was, so I get asked this all the time. I mean, I think for what you put in, the payout for Angler Nation is pretty dang good. Some would argue that for Southside too. I literally the only reason that, to me, I mean, not the only reason, because obviously the competition, if you want to prove yourself as being competitive in Oklahoma, one of these 2 trails is going to do that for you. And it's
hands down.
It's minimal cost. Yeah, and it's minimal cost. I mean, it cost me $100 between the team for entry fees. I don't remember how much it was. Southside is like $60 or something.
Southside is 60 plus there's an optional side pot, which is 80. So, I mean, realistically, you're looking at $40 a person, splitting it with your partner.
Right. Yeah, and you're looking 60, I think, for Angler Nation. Yeah.
Right, and you're looking at, by the time you pay membership fees, you're looking at, I think the membership fee for the club and for the Bass team piece, you're looking at like $240 or something, $200, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and each with Southside, because of how many boats they get, normally you're going to win about $1,000, a little over 1,200, 1,500 sometimes. You know, if you win, and with the side pot, and then with Angler Nation's guaranteed $1,000 first place, no matter how many boats are there, and then you got the side pot. So most guys go home with between $1,600, $1,800 for first place. I mean, for $60 entry fee, that's not too bad, you know.
Exactly.
all that aside, you know, take the money away. If I'm putting forth the effort, if I'm putting forth the money, I want to have something I'm fishing for, and that's what you get in these two trails. And
100%.
The whole package is what makes them what makes them so great is the camaraderie. You're fishing against the same guys, and like we mentioned earlier, they're all hammers. They all can catch fish. You see them, you know, once a month. Most of us see each other several times, you know, because we
Right.
fish so many different trails. But you see each other once a month for sure. You know, you give each other a hard time. You build each other up. You know, when you're not catching them.
You
I
get
mean,
to
and there,
talk crap to each
you got
other
the
before the
camaraderie.
tournament.
Yeah, I mean it's exactly what you hear the
Right.
big guys talk about. You know,
Yeah.
you have that camaraderie, that brotherhood. It's
Yes.
cutthroat when you're on the water. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Absolutely.
we want to beat you.
Absolutely.
You know, but when you come off, it's dude, good job. You know, how'd you catch them? You guys are sticks. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of encouragement and rooting for each other, and it's like, excuse me, it's like when we our race came down to the wire with Brandon and Tony, and the whole time it was giving each other crap, you know, like trying to put pressure on the other team. Like we'd be up by a point or 2 points, and they'd
Try to
come
play
up
the
and
mental
say, "Yeah,
game.
y'all better catch them. Yeah, y'all better catch them, you know, because we're coming for you. We're on however much." And then they'd go up, and we'd be down, and we'd be sitting there going, saying the same thing. Y'all better catch them tonight. Like, I mean,
Right.
it and that's what makes it fun. And at the end,
Absolutely.
it was really cool to. I mean, we were happy for each other either way, you know. And um, but all that being said, yes, it's awesome, and I appreciate both of these clubs giving us an avenue to. Hopefully, I mean, you got a chance to fulfill your ultimate dream, which most of us that fish tournaments, it's to get to the Bassmasters Classic. I mean, yeah, it is
Right.
one heck of a long, tough road to get there, but there's no better way, in my opinion, to test your skill level. If I can't compete going away from home and on a lake that isn't local, you know, like I probably ain't gonna catch them if I get to the Classic. You know, like I mean,
True.
it's one of those things that I
True.
mean, granted, you got different times of year and all that comes into play, but um, I I appreciate it. I do, and it makes me always feel like I've got a chance when I show up day in and day out. I've got a chance at the end of the year to still fulfill a dream and make the Bassmasters Classic, because unfortunately I don't have I don't have the funds to go do the opens or do the nation or you know some of these other avenues that guys can do
Yep.
yet. Hopefully one day that'll change, but
And
um, every year I try.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, it gives me an avenue and something to work for, because ultimately the goal is to get to the Classic. Like, even if I don't ever get the chance to fish professionally, if I could qualify for a Classic one time, I could say goal accomplished.
Accomplished career accomplished. I mean, if you put Bassmaster Classic qualifier next to your name in the fishing industry, I mean that is a huge
It is.
resume booster and builder. I mean, it sets you up for local sponsors, for national sponsors, for I mean, if you let it and if you build it, that's it's a career changer to be able to step up and go fish those other levels and potentially make it back. And um, it's yeah, I mean that's a big deal.
It
It's a
is.
big
It
deal for
is.
us that fish.
Well, and my deal is not like being able to afford the opens. Yeah, it would be a tight stretch to afford the opens. Um, the biggest thing for me is time off. Like I just don't currently I don't have enough time off from work to be able to go fish all 9 opens. I could
Hmm.
probably swing the centrals, like I could swing one division, but when you start looking at I want to qualify for the elites, man, it's hard to do it in just one division. Like
Hmm.
your best
Unless you're
chance,
Jason Christie.
Yeah, yeah, right,
or Greg
right.
Hackney, or somebody that's been there and done that.
And they make it look easy. I actually seen, I watched Bass Talk Live the other day with Pankrak interviewing Christie, and he actually mentioned how Christie, when he wanted to come back to the elites and fish the opens, like he just run away with it. Like he made it look so easy to where the rest of us
Mm-hmm.
struggle. But your best chance to get there is fishing all 9 opens. And
100%. Yeah.
for guys like us, one, it's tough to afford nine opens because you're talking 16 grand, 17 grand in entry fees.
Yeah, I just call it an even 20. I mean, you just
By the
that's
time you
it's
do
pretty much what
expenses,
it is.
I mean, by the time you do
Mm-hmm.
expenses, you're 30 grand in to try and qualify.
Yeah.
And then you're 9 weeks away because every tournament you fish is going to be a week off. So you're 9 weeks of vacation or 9 weeks of time off you got to have. So I mean, hopefully at some point I'll be in a job or a career where I can at least go fish the 3 centrals and maybe
Mm-hmm.
eventually, the three, like just maybe gradually add to them. But I'm going to try my goal, and me and my team partner, Jimmy Thomas, talked about this past year at the Classic in Fort Worth. Um, both of us want to try and start fishing the Central Opens in 2023 or 2024, um, or 2025, somewhere in the next 3 years. So, which for me, having the new kid, um, mine's probably going to get pushed to 24 or 25, most likely. That being said, though, if I don't get to jump in the opens in 2023, I'm going to fish either Angler Nation or Southside here to give me that chance for the Classic. But I'm also going to probably try and fish something that's still like BFLs or Bass Nation qualifiers, or what I'll probably fish would be like the ABA Top 150 Solo Series. If I don't get to fish the
Yep.
opens in 2023, I'm going to fish the Top 150 Solo Series. So, because that series was new last year, my buddy Nick Kincaid fished it, and it's an awesome, awesome trail. So, and it's one step down
Yeah.
from the opens technically.
It's a great stepping stone is kind of how
Absolutely,
uh,
100%.
it without the full-fledged cost. I mean, I could fish all three of them for basically the cost of one entry fee to one open. So,
Correct. Correct.
excuse me, but the competition is going to be fairly similar. So,
Yeah, I
it's
mean
kind of like last year.
last year when Nick fished them, I mean, you had John Sokup in them, you had Nick Kincaid
Yeah.
in them, and I mean, I know those two for sure off the top of my head because I'm good friends with both of them. But um, it's just through the roof competition wise, as close as you're going to get to an open without jumping in an open.
Yeah, you get the best of both. A lot of Oklahoma guys, a lot of Texas guys that are hammers. I mean, you get to compete and find out who you are.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to do them this year myself. And kind of test myself. It was kind of last year I did the Skeeters and I fished them solo as kind of a test for me with minimal cost. Because those are only about $200 each to fish. There's 4 of them a year, and then the championship. But I was fishing against several elite and ex-elite guys that
Yep.
are fishing with somebody else. Most of them, I mean, not all the time, but most of them have a team partner. And so I jumped in on them and I said, "Hey, if I for $200, if I can compete against these guys and fish by myself and kind of make my own decisions and somewhat compete, I felt like that was a pretty good gauge as where I was at locally." And
Yeah,
I
for
had a
sure.
couple of yeah, I had a couple of rough rough events. I had a couple of really good events, and a couple of events where I was just one fish away. And I
Right.
had the fish on, and it came off, and I still finished right in between all those guys like the Luke Palmers, Jason Christie's, Chris Jones. I mean, I was sitting there going, looking at all the names that was around me, and I'm like, I can do this. Like, I just have to figure out financially and, like you said, time off, you know. And
well,
but I appreciate.
Realistically, if you were to just go fish any of these team trails in Oklahoma solo, so fish Angler Nation by yourself, fish Southside by
Yep.
yourself, fish the Skeeter by yourself, fish the Nichols by you fish any of those 4 team trails by yourself. If you can compete by yourself in those trails, absolutely you can compete at the next level, because if you're competing in those trails by yourself, you got one less bait in the water at all times, so you're already at a disadvantage. And B, when you hook a fish, you got to get it in all by yourself. You can't just yell net and let your partner get it. So,
Right.
so
Yep.
if you can compete in any of those 4 team trails by yourself, you can compete at the next level. It's just a matter of getting your mental game in the right place to do it, because that next level, the thing that sets that next level apart from the local guys is between our ears.
Yeah, that's a big part of it for sure, and that's kind of why I feel like everybody's kind of you got to test yourself and figure out where you're at, and however you do that is whatever's best for you, right? For me, last year it was the other part of that was, okay, I'm putting forth $200 to do this. What's my ROI, or what could be my ROI? ROI. Gosh, I can't talk today apparently.
Return on investment, for what people. If people don't know the abbreviation, he's looking for return on investment.
Yes. And anyway, so I put forth $200 for an entry fee, right? And I have a chance to win potentially 20 to 25,000 on a Skeeter, right? Versus, and because I looked at going and doing the BFLs or another single trail, and it's $200 to $250 minimum for a boater to enter that, right? And you win back 10 grand, maybe. If the I was gonna say, if the field is full, maybe. So you have a co-angler. I didn't have a co-angler in the Skeeters, so it was kind of.
It's funny that you bring up the ROI piece, because again, I just watched a video. I think it was last week from Todd Castledine, and it was titled "Can You Make Money Fishing?" And he went through and basically answered a viewer's question without giving exact dollars amount and exact details and stuff, about why he chooses to fish the tournaments he does. Because if you notice with Todd jumps around a lot. He'll fish 1 or 2 from this division, 1 or 2 from this division. Like, he'll fish 1 or 2 from here or there, and it's because he weighs his return on investment from cost of entry fee, cost of expenses to get there, cost of expenses for the week. He takes all of that stuff into consideration compared to how much he can win, and that's how he picks what he fishes. The only thing I think he fished, I don't even think he fished a full series in the Opens. The only thing I know he fished he fished a full series in the Toyota series. I know that because he qualified for the Toyota Championship.
Well, and he did that because he wanted to be the only guy to ever win 4 AOIs or something
like that.
Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so he said that was the reason, but I think he did do one full.
He might have done all the centrals. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good point. It's return on investment is a good way to look at what you fish for the year.
Yeah.
So
I don't think very many guys do that. Truthfully, I really don't, especially at the local level.
Most of them just go jump in them.
Yeah. And I have people ask me all the time, "Can you make money doing it?" And I'm like, if I break even at the end of the year, if I'm paying for my passion and my hobby at the end of the year, I did good. So
right, yeah, that's going. If you're fishing for free, you had a good year.
That's exactly right.
Which I feel like both of us got to do this year, so that was a good thing.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
I agree. So, but yeah, so I think we're gonna get close to wrapping it up there. So thing to take away here, guys, is especially local guys in Oklahoma that listen to this. You need to go check out Angler Nation, and you need to go check out Tulsa Southside Hookers because not only are they great for the camaraderie because it's just a brotherhood and a bunch of good dudes, but Charles Moore with Tulsa Southside Hookers does a fantabulous job running that trail, especially since he normally has somewhere between 100 and 110 boats. Like, he does a phenomenal job. And then Angler Nation, Joe Davis, just one of the best dudes on earth, does a phenomenal job with Angler Nation. Both of them do their best to keep the anglers' interests in mind. They're just phenomenal trails. So go check both of those trails out, and come fish against me and Zach. We love the competition. If you see us at a tournament, come say hi. We love to talk fishing. We're both avid hunters, so we both love to talk hunting. Um, Zach's a pheasant hunter.
Yeah, I got this. Yeah, big pheasant over there.
Zach's
I
a
got the
pheasant
deer over
hunter.
there. Yeah.
I'm a deer hunter, and we both waterfowl hunt a little bit. But um, so come talk to us. I mean, we'd love to talk about whatever. So, and leave us a message or comment in this, like reach out to me by email, comment, whatever for this podcast, and let us know what you want to talk about. I mean, if there's more questions you want to ask Zach about anything, let us know. I'll get him back on and ask him whatever the viewers want to see. If there's questions for me, obviously I'll answer whatever I can. And I'm looking forward to this adventure for this podcast. It's new for me, but we're gonna roll with it, man. I broke down the other day. I had some Visa gift cards laying around, and I ordered me an actual speaker or a microphone, an actual set of headset or an actual headset, so I don't have to use this built one with built-in mic. So we can actually.
It looks good
So,
on you. I don't. I
yeah,
mean, it
well,
looks good. I thought
well,
it fits the part.
we're gonna get the actual podcast look going here. So
Yeah, there
they're
you
supposed
go.
to be delivered today. So hopefully next time. Well, it'll kind of probably depend on where I shoot my podcast. Because like if I'm doing it where like I'm using a break room at work right now, if I do it here, I'm not gonna wag all that stuff up here to shoot it. But if I shoot it at home or something or on site somewhere, then I'll use that stuff. But I'm going to get set up to where I can have two people. That way, if I'm on site with Zach somewhere and we want to do it together, I'll have enough stuff for us to do it together side by side in the same location. So, but it's going to be a new adventure. It's going to be fun. I'm trying to write down a list of topics for us to go. At some point, I'm going to have Jimmy Thomas on and let him talk to us about kayak fishing. Um,
I'm excited about that one.
I've never done it. He keeps talking to me about it. He is a local hammer out of a kayak here, as well as obviously fishing in a boat with me. So I'm looking forward to having him on, and then I'm gonna try and get Brendan McDonald on to talk about some stuff and some other people. So, and the goal is
It's gonna.
hopefully is to try once tournament season starts with at least Angler Nation and Southside. I want to try and get the winner or somebody out of the top 5 every single week to come on and talk to us about how they caught them. We don't necessarily need to know where they caught them on the lake or any of that. Just give us some details and break down how they caught them. Like, I caught them throwing a spinnerbait on blah, blah, blah. Like, just break it down for us and help us understand to hopefully help the viewers put more fish in the boat ultimately.
I'm excited to see just more local coverage in general for these tournaments. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are local hammers that have no real outlet for who they are,
100%. I mean,
at all.
it's
And this is going to be a good avenue for that, I think.
I'm going to use Kurt Warren and John Pilcher, for example. They fish all the Nichols trails. They fish all the Angler in Action trails. And they are, when you go to a tournament at Grand Lake as a local, if either one of those guys are in it, you right off the bat are saying, that's who I got to beat. Because that
Yeah, I'm fishing for a second,
right. I
Yeah.
mean, that lake specifically with those two guys, they just know it like the back of their hand. And it boils down to they spend more time on the water than most of us get to.
Well, they I feel like, and if you ask them this, they probably picked up on the whole return on investment
Uh-huh.
piece a lot quicker than most, and they realized that they could, if they learned Grand Lake, and I would even add Eufaula to this because they're really good on Eufaula too.
Yep.
But if they learned those two lakes, but Grand specifically, and they went out and won everything that they could win on Grand Lake, they would make a pretty dang good profit not having to
Well,
leave home. You know.
and it's funny that you say that because there were a few years ago, and I don't know all the details, and I don't really know if it's 100% true because I didn't like call Anglers in Action and ask them or anything. But supposedly they were actually told they were no longer allowed to fish the Angler in Action's trail unless they had a spectator because people were
Yeah.
accusing them of cheating, supposedly, which I totally disagree with. I don't think they do. Um,
Right.
I just truly feel like they spent more time on the water those for a few years there because, like for the Nichols Championship, they would literally spend a week on the water each in separate boats. Well, when you got two guys practicing for a full week, sure, they're gonna do well. So,
Yeah.
and like I said, I don't know if that's true or not, but they are known to be local hammers in this area. And honestly, I'd like to have John or Kurt, either one, on at some point to pick their brains about how they caught them at Grand, just to get an understanding of maybe what they do, not necessarily
Or
where,
ask
just
them
what.
why. Yeah, or why? Why did you pick? Why do you only fish Grant? Because you don't see them fish. I feel like
Kurt
most other
finally
events. I
started
mean, you don't
fishing
really
the
see them.
opens. Him and John started fishing the opens a little bit in the last few years, but for the longest time, I never seen their names on opens or anything. They
Yeah,
literally
BFL.
just
I
fished
mean,
Nichols and
yeah.
Anglers in Action.
Hmm.
But
I bet we see them this year, though. I bet we see them this year fishing the BFLs and
oh
a
yeah,
couple of those trails that are only. So I bet I see them in the Skeeters going back and forth to
I
Grand
bet
and
so.
Eufaula this year. I'm sure
So,
it's gonna be.
but
I'll see them a lot.
absolutely. But we're looking forward to doing this podcast. Zach's probably going to join us quite a bit. He's going to kind of be like my co-host, quote unquote, permanent guest, you could say, I guess. So even when I have other people on, Zach's probably going to join me a lot. So aside from checking out Angler Nation and Southside Hookers, go check out Zach and ZVK Fishing. Give him a follow if you don't already. Um, He's super good dude. Dude will give you the shirt off his back to help you out. There's not a better dude on earth. So go follow him, help him grow his pages, help him try to achieve the goal that he set out to achieve, which is hopefully fishing for a living on the elites. Um, I think the elites is where he wants to go, anyways. So um,
Yeah, we won't get into whole which trail or anything.
yeah,
No,
no, there's
no. That's for a different podcast.
yeah, I hate the division that is in the fishing industry right now, and we're not even gonna. I'm gonna avoid that topic like the plague if I can because it's
100%.
stupid. The division is absolutely stupid. You should not have to choose between trails. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, we're
So
all fishermen. Exactly.
exactly, we're all out for the same thing. If you can make both trails work, make both trails work. Like it's fine. Quit dividing us.
Yep.
We're like
Honestly, we need more avenues.
we're
We need
brotherhood. Like
more.
that's why
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the NPFL. I know they had some struggles at the end of last year that I feel like have gotten fixed. But I'm excited to have the NPFL in. I feel like they done an excellent job last year with their live coverage and live feeds and all of that. I feel like they were right up there and just as good as the other two organizations were. Um, and ultimately, it gives another avenue to get there, truthfully, because I mean, you're going to spend a little more fishing those than you would the opens, but it's just another avenue. So, um,
Yep. It's another
but
pro
yeah,
trail. Yep.
so let's follow ZVK Fishing, help him pursue his goals, and then obviously please go follow KPM Fishing on Instagram and Facebook. and then it's Kyle Mullins KPM Fishing on YouTube, which I post all the podcasts to YouTube, so you can go back and watch them. So please subscribe to the channel, and let's get this thing growing, because it's in, as of right now, I've got the podcast set to go to, I think it's on iHeartRadio, it's on Spotify, and it's on Google Podcasts. I know for a fact it's on those three. I've got it submitted to some others, like Stitcher and Apple Podcasts, and I'm waiting for approval on some of them. But I know it's on Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. I know those three for sure. So go get some downloads on the podcast and listen to us, because we love talking fishing. Obviously, we can ramble for days. So I guess it's time. Giveaway items. So 2 Jenko CD7s. This podcast, like I said at the beginning, is promoted by Jenko, and thankful for those guys' support in helping us get this thing off the ground. So this is Jenko CD7 crankbaits. Both of them are in like a chartreuse blueback. They call it citrus shad. So just a side note, in case you go order from their website, their citrus shad is not like everybody else's citrus shad. Their citrus shad is chartreuse blueback. But it's a CD7 rattling and a CD7 silent. We're going to give these away to a random winner. I don't know, Zach, how should we pick it? What should they do? Should they have to subscribe to YouTube, follow me, my social medias, all three? What should we do? How should we do it?
I would do, like or subscribe to those three major ones: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then share this podcast.
There we go. Perfect. So let's do that. So you've got to like KPM Fishing. You've on Facebook. You've got to like KPM Fishing on Instagram, and you have to subscribe to the KPM Fishing YouTube channel, where this podcast will be posted. And then share the podcast through one of the forms. I don't care if you share it through Instagram or Facebook, but you have to like both social media pages, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share the podcast or the video through one of those forms of social media, mainly to help get the podcast out there, because without you guys' help by sharing it, it doesn't ever go nowhere. Nobody ever sees it. So, because I can only reach so far with the viewers I've got. So the more people that share it, the more it gets out there. So let's get it out there. Let's get it going, and let's make a podcast out of this deal.
I like it. Let's do it.
Perfect. So that's the criteria. I'll make sure and put it in the description of the video on YouTube. That way, if you forget what the rules are and what you need to do, it'll be listed in there. And I'll make sure when I post it to my social media pages, I'll put the rules and things that you got to do in there as well. That way, you can't forget them. And then we'll pick a random winner. I'm going to say, what is today? Today is the 11th. So let's go. I'm going to drop the podcast Thursday morning. So it's going to drop Thursday morning at 8. So we'll announce the winner on the next. It'll be announced in the next podcast. I'll draw the winner before the next podcast is recorded, and announce it at the next one. So perfect. Anything else you want to ask that?
There you go. No, man, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to these.
Cool. Well, it's I'm gonna try and start doing, at least until tournament season, which is still close to a month away. I'll probably try and do still try and get one a weekend, but it may turn into, let's talk about fishing jigs this week. Let's talk about fishing spinnerbaits this week. Let's talk. And when I do those like that, I may try and get you and another guy on, or you and a couple more guys on, so we can 3 or 4 box, and all of us can discuss what we like to do with those different techniques and help the viewers put more fish in the boat. So let's do it.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
So if you don't have anything else, then we'll We'll tell these guys tight lines, and we'll catch them on the next podcast. See you guys.